Welcome to Indy Game Reviews. I'm your host, Jittery Jackanate. Our goal is to give you a brief rundown of an independent game. I'll talk about what I like, what I don't like, and then I'll give it a score from 1 to 10. Sir Whoopass Immortal Death is an action-adventure RPG released in 2022. It was developed and published by Atomic Elbow. In this adventure, we play as the titular character Sir Whoopass as he goes on his quest to obtain the legendary villain-beating artifact to defeat the mysterious villain, the Immortal. It is a over-the-top, hilarious fantasy adventure that has a ton of personality, and we'll get some laughs out of just about anybody based off of its name alone. I was gifted the game by one of our friends and viewers, Zatsu. Normally you can find this game for about $17 on Steam. What I liked about the game: this game right away knows exactly what it wants to be. It is a parody of the fantasy and medieval genre akin to what the Shrek franchise is for movies. This is to video games, only much more adult. Think if Shrek and Deadpool came together to make their take on the Fable franchise. It is a hilarious adventure with a plot that is so simple to understand, and everything that happens just gets more absurd and meta. I think the cat machine is a play on Starbucks. Our cat's coffee.
Oh, it smells delicious.
There was a vending machine that used the anime. They did the wow sound effect. It's just giving me gold. There was a boss based on Pennywise from the It franchise. At one point you help Little Red Riding Hood kill all the big bad wolves with a flamethrower, only to then be rewarded that weapon because she got crushed by a bridge and you have to fight her grandma.
Maybe our hero could find the switch and pull it?
Well, this is an easy solution. We just, Oh, yes!
I'm a fire starter.
And aren't you supposed to be my granddaughter? Speaking of which, have you seen her?
She continued.
I accidentally killed her.
The grandmother got...
I'm not sorry. This game knows it is a parody and uses it to its full effect. The goofiest and best moments, though, come from when you get approached by the IRS.
Our hero was caught up by the IRS,
What?
Immortal Revenue Service, and was prompted to pay his income tax.
Oh, hell no!
The IRS guy was not taking no for an answer, and decided to take our hero's body as payment instead.
Immortal Revenue Service. He has a briefcase for a weapon. That's right. The IRS approaches you, and you can fight them. And it was on sight every time I came across them. The little details in the game, such as the loading screens, were a nice touch. They'll tell you how many times you've broken barrels, defeated certain types of enemies, or even been a gnome's head off to restore health. The thing that makes the game so fun is just exploring and goofing around and getting a new weapon or hat that increases your stats. Every time you level up, you can choose between increasing your damage, agility, defense, or luck. And if you solve puzzles or explore areas well enough, you might find secrets or hats that allow you to do more damage or fire more projectiles from your ranged weapons. There are a decent amount of bosses that serve as a good enough challenge for you in the game. I can't think of one that wasn't fun to fight except for maybe Big Boy, but we cheesed him and got the win. The soundtrack and narrator do a lot of the heavy lifting, and the narrator especially always is welcome.
Servant that ultimately will betray his master in the end.
Rather than the characters having their own actor, the narrator does an impression of what they would assume the character sounds like, and it is always funny.
Oh, protagonist, what big hounds you have!
She said.
Less is more was the name of the game, and to me it paid off big time. What I didn't like about the game at times could have a few issues. There was one moment where we had just beaten the Flappy Bird parody game for the second time and we got stuck when we came back between the chest containing the ward and the arcade machine. I had to reload a save. Sometimes the hitboxes on hazards, especially the spike traps, felt a bit off for me, especially the larger pillars in the final level. Some enemies would take away nearly all your health in combat, would get overwhelming if you aren't specializing in the right stats. I personally went mostly attack and agility with some defense but no luck. I wish in hindsight I prioritized defense a bit more than attack, because once we got the cowboy hat, range weapons were so broken regardless that damage output didn't matter. My own splash damage was often doing me in more than the enemies were. Flappy Knight. Why? Why did you do that? Flappy Bird's parody in the game could be harsh and unforgiving, but that's kind of the point. It's funny, but none of the rewards felt like they were worth my time in hindsight. The more genuine complaints would be the fast travel system only taking you back to the main bar and the last outhouse that you used. If possible, I think it would have been better for you to be able to go to any outhouse from the bar. But once you get the mount in the game, it's not that bad. Tried to warn him. What was horrible for me, though, was how abrupt the ending was. It didn't ruin the experience overall for me, but it felt like we were missing something. But I will say it leaves the door open for another game, so if that happens, all is forgiven. But for now, I gotta say the ending left me a bit unsatisfied. It didn't ruin the game because it was still hilarious the entire way through, and the joke at the end is good, but it isn't the ending I would have gone with. Metacritic gives this one an 8.2, and I think that's a fair score. I would give this a 9 out of 10 for myself, personally. If you get the chance to play this for yourself, go beat up the IRS.